Hey everyone, I'm Vrindavan, Tulsi's sister. Tulsi's at Army National Guard duty this weekend, so we are working to get her 100,000 donors by midnight on Sunday. This will keep us on track for the 130,000 that we need to get her on the debates in September. We got this. We only need this 100,000 mark. So please donate if you haven't. If you have donated, get your family and friends to donate. Every single donation counts, even if it's $1. We thank you for your love and support. Aloha.
When I saw that Tulsi Gabbard's sister's Twitter account was suspended, I had to throw this video together real fast. So I'll put a link to everything in the video description.
In Afghanistan right now, we're spending $4 billion of your taxpayer dollars every month. This money could be used here. When you see how many sick people who are uninsured or underinsured or aren't able to get the care they need. You see how many teachers are on strike in different communities across the country because they're getting paid pennies. You're dealing with a lack of affordable housing. You're dealing with a homeless crisis that is hitting communities across California, hitting communities in Hawaii, hitting communities urban and rural all across this country. As your President and Commander-in-Chief, I will end these wasteful regime change wars. I will end these wasteful regime change wars, work to end this new Cold War that we're in with ever-escalating tensions between the United States and other nuclear-armed countries like Russia and China, and end this nuclear arms race, all of which are taking trillions more of our taxpayer dollars away from where they need to be, serving our people, serving our communities, rather than spending them on these wars and weapons that only make us less safe and that cost us so dearly. Now, the reality is there are many needs we need to address, but we will not have the resources that we need to invest in our people and our communities unless we deal with one central issue. That issue is the cost of war. For too long, we have warmongers from both political parties who have been dragging us from one counterproductive regime change war to the next, who are hyping up a new Cold War and nuclear arms race now. So as President and Commander-in-Chief, I will end our long-standing foreign policy of waging wasteful regime change wars that have taken so many lives, that has cost us trillions of taxpayer dollars and undermined our national security. I'll work to end this new Cold War and nuclear arms race and lead us away from the abyss of a nuclear war. I'll take the trillions of dollars, your hard-earned taxpayer dollars that have been and will continue to be wasted on these programs, and instead invest them in serving the needs of the American people. Things like quality health care for all, truly sustainable agriculture, affordable housing, clean water, clean air, rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure, improving education, and so much more. The work that we have to do to make sure that we truly have a government that is of, by, and for the people. Of, by, and for the people. Something that we hear so much throughout our lives and maybe we take for granted until we get to the point where we realize, hey, we don't really have a government of, by, and for the people, do we? No, we have a government that is of, by, and for the rich and powerful, or of, by, and for greedy corporations, or of, by, and for self-serving politicians, but not a government of, by, and for the people. And so this is what motivates me. It's why I'm wanting for President to bring about these values of service above self to the presidency, to make sure that our White House is truly a beacon of light and hope and opportunity for every single person in this country. I got to tell you, when I was a kid growing up in Hawaii, I never once dreamed of getting involved in politics, what to speak of running for president and standing on a stage in front of hundreds of people giving a speech, I was extremely shy. Is there any shy kids out here tonight? Yeah? Glad you're sitting down there, not up here. I was you. I'm the fourth of 5 kids. I have 3 older brothers and a younger sister. And of the 5 of us, absolutely the most shy, the most introverted. My little sister's actually here with me tonight. And when we were kids, I would make her be my spokesperson. Mom would send us to the grocery store to pick up some milk or some bread, and I'd make my sister talk to the clerk behind the cash register. I didn't want any part of it, and I was just fine. But what really changed things for me was when I experienced growing up in Hawaii, loving the ocean and surfing and hiking in the mountains, really caring about our home, and then seeing how when I would go to the beach, there'd be trash lying around. That kind of made me mad. I wanted to do something about it, and so I got my friends together. We'd go and we'd start cleaning up the beaches on the weekends, but that wasn't really quite enough. So we created a nonprofit and took an education program out to elementary school kids across the state called The Adventures of Water Woman. I had a little skit. I wrote a little skit. I got to play Water Woman, of course, in the skit, but we got to take this and share with these kids, 8, 9, 10-year-old kids about why it's important that we protect our home, why it's important we protect our water and our land. And it was so much fun, but it really got me out of my own shell, leaving behind my own fears and my anxieties, because I understood that it wasn't about me, that this was a small way that I could do my best to try to make a positive impact, to bring about positive change, to be of service to my community, to make that difference, to make that lasting difference. So later I ended up running for the State House of Representatives. I was 21 years old, and a lot of people said, "You're too young." I said, "Too young for what?" Right? There were a lot of issues I was very passionate about and leadership that I saw that was lacking. So instead of pointing fingers in both directions, saying, okay, well, somebody else is going to do it, somebody else will step up to the plate, I said, I got to do my part. And I think that's one of the most important things for us as we're gathered here tonight, is every one of us thinking about how can we do our part, and never, ever allowing anyone to stop you or stand in your way by telling you you're too young, or you're too inexperienced, or you don't check this box or that box or that box. Because the most important quality, the most important qualification, whether you're thinking about running for office, or you're thinking about leading a campaign, or there's just something you really care about and you want to do something about, it is that care that is the most important quality. I think that deserves a round of applause, right? Because there's a lot of challenges that we're facing. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I get the opportunity through my work in Congress. I've served for over 6 years to meet with a lot of young leaders or young people who say, well, how do you get involved with politics? How do you one day become a member of Congress? And I share with them just what I've shared with you tonight, is what I experienced from a young age, that I was most happy in my life. Not when I was out doing things for myself, but when I was doing all that I could to try to make a positive impact. And every step of the way, whether it was that first race for the State House, as I was anxiously knocking on doors for the very first time, summoning up the courage to go to door by door by door, not knowing who would be on the other side, having people question me, saying, hey, you're just a kid, what are you doing? But then having that conversation and just sharing what was in my heart, my desire to be of service to them, to be a strong voice for our community, to make sure that our local government in Hawaii was a government of, by, and for the people, to be that champion for folks who are struggling and pursuing their hopes and their dreams. There will always be powers who will try to get in your way, people who are not interested in changing the status quo. And they will tell you, as I have heard throughout my life, don't bother. You have no chance at winning. I was told this over and over when I first ran for Congress. You have no chance. You're 31 years old. Come back in 20 years. Try again. As we say in Hawaii, I heard this, I smiled, said aloha, and kept going. I kept going because I always knew who I was working for and who really has the power. Now, just as we saw in Hawaii when I was younger and growing up is the same thing we see in Washington. There's a few people who think that they hold the power and that they really are the ones who determine the future for our country. Whether they're people with a lot of money or people with a lot of political power, they really believe that they are the ones who make the decision. Until we, the people, prove them wrong. And this is why it's so important for every one of us here, for every person in this country, to really take this to heart and to recognize the power that we have in our own voices and in our own hands. So this is the charge I leave you with here tonight. Think about what you really care about, the issues that you're passionate about, the people who you love, the place that you call home, and think about how in your life, in your way, you can be of service and make that positive change happen. Thank you all so much for being here. It's great to see you. Have a wonderful rest of your stay here in Milwaukee and a great conference. Aloha.
Want a president who will put your interests ahead of the rich and powerful? Meet Tulsi Gabbard, decorated war veteran who will end wasteful regime change wars and new Cold War, to invest at home in affordable quality health care, green economy, and good-paying jobs. Tulsi will fight climate change and strongly protect Medicare, Social Security, and middle-class families.
I'm Tulsi Gabbard. I approve this message because I'm running for president to serve you.